Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're watching or listening. My name is Caleb Glick. I'm a lawyer here in the great state of Texas with the Calhoun School of Law to bring you a lot of information plenty of bad folks would rather you not have. Today we're going to be providing another installation to our Anti-Federalist Papers series going on number 16. So if you haven't gone back and watched 1 through 15, I would highly encourage you to do so. They're not as long as the Federalist Papers. They're about 10 or so minutes each. But the reason they're so important is because, like the Federalist Papers, when reading through them, you get a very well-rounded, very advantageous, and supplemental understanding of the U.S. Constitution. And of course, understanding the U.S. Constitution is absolutely imperative if you intend to combat any sort of lawfare waged against you, your loved ones, or your hard-earned property. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the Anti-Federalist Papers. There are multiple institutions from which you can get a copy, both paper and digital, of the Anti-Federalist Papers. Go ahead and get both. If you haven't already, while you're out there looking, go ahead and pick up a copy, both digital and paper, of the Federalist Papers so you can join us in comparing and contrasting the arguments for and against ratifying the U.S. Constitution. Okay, so number 16 of the Anti-Federalist Papers is titled, Europeans Admire and Federalists Decry the Present System. Quote, Alfred defended the Articles of Confederation taken from the New York Journal, December 25, 1787, as reprinted from the Philadelphia Independent Gazetteer. So now this is from this anonymous, this pseudonymed Alfred individual. He says, to the real patriots of America, America is now free. She now enjoys a greater portion of political liberty than any other country under heaven. How long she may continue so depends entirely upon her own caution and wisdom. If she would look to herself more and to Europe less, I am persuaded it would tend to promote her felicity. She possesses all the advantages which characterize a rich, country rich, within herself. She ought less to regard the politics, the manufactures, and the interests of distant nations. When I look to our situation, climate, extent, soil, and its productions, rivers, ports, when I find I can at this time purchase grain, bread, meat, and other necessaries of life at as reasonable a rate as in any country, when I see we are sending great quantities of tobacco, wheat, and flour to England and other parts of the globe beyond the Atlantic, when I get on the other side of the Western Mountains and see an extensive country which, for its multitude of rivers and fertility of soil, is equal, if not superior, to any other whatever, when I see these things. Excuse me, let me try restating that one. To any other whatever, when I see these things, I cannot be brought to believe that America is in that deplorable ruined condition which some designing politicians represent, or that we are in a state of anarchy beyond redemption unless we adopt, without any addition or amendment, the new Constitution proposed by the late Convention. A Constitution which, in my humble opinion, contains the seeds and scions of slavery and despotism. Whew. Those are some pregnant words. When the volume of American Constitutions by John Adams first made its appearance in Europe, we find some of the most eminent political writers of the present age and the reviewers of literature full of admiration and declaring they had never before seen so much good sense, freedom, and real wisdom in one publication. Our good friend Dr. Richard Price was charmed, and almost prophesied the near approach of the happy days of the millennium. We have lived under these constitutions, and after the experience of a few years, some among us are ready to trample them under their feet, though they have been esteemed, even by our enemies, as, quote, perils of great price. Let us not, ye lovers of freedom, be rash and hasty. Perhaps the real evils we labor under do not arise from these systems. There may be other causes to which our misfortunes may be properly attributed. Read the American Constitutions, and you will find our essential rights and privileges well guarded and secured. May not our manners be the source of our national evils? May not our attachment to foreign trade increase them? Have we not acted imprudently in imprudently in exporting almost all our gold and silver for foreign luxuries? It's now acknowledged that we have not a sufficient quantity of the precious metals to answer the various purposes of government and commerce, and without a breach of charity it may be said that this deficiency arises from the want of public virtue in preferring private interest to every other consideration. If the states had in any tolerable degree been able to answer the requisitions of Congress, if the Continental Treasury had been so far assisted as to have enabled us to pay the interest of our foreign debt, possibly we should have heard little, very little about a new system of government. It is a just observation that in modern times money does everything. If a government can command this unum necessarium, from a certain revenue, it may be considered as wealthy and respectable. If not, it will lose its dignity, become inefficient and contemptible. But cannot we regulate our finances and lay the foundations for a permanent and certain revenue without undoing all that we have done, without making an entire new government? The most wise and philosophic characters have bestowed on our old systems the highest encomiums. Are we sure this new political phenomenon will not fail? If it should fail, is there not a great probability that our last state will be worse than the first? Orators may declaim on the badness of the times as long as they please, but I must tell them that the want of public virtue and the want of money are two of the principal sources of our grievances, and if we are under the pressure of these wants, it ought to teach us frugality, to adopt a frugal administration of public affairs. Signed, Alfred. Okay, so if you have any questions about what Alfred, in quotes, that's a pseudonym, it's an acronym, not an acronym, a pseudonym. There's another synonym for pseudonym, but if you have any questions about what was said in number 16, if you have any questions about what was said in the previous papers, or maybe there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future lecture, please post them down in the comments, because the entire purpose of the Calhoun School of Law is to provide you with the necessary skills and information to combat any sort of lawfare waged against you, your loved ones, or your hard-earned property. So please, if you have any questions at all, post them down in the comments. Excellent. So my name is Caleb Glick. I'm a lawyer here in the great state of Texas with the Calhoun School of Law to bring you a lot of information that plenty of bad folks would rather you not have. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and if not, while you're down in the comments, let me know how I can do better so I can best serve that purpose of helping you. I hope you'll have a wonderful day, and I'm not sure what the topic for next lecture is going to be, but I'll do my best to make it as informative and entertaining as this one, if not more so, regardless the topic of the next lecture. Until I see y'all then, I bid you all farewell.